I want to talk to you today about the 7 ways that pornography can keep you broke. We're not even going to talk about the expense of actually participating in pornography. We're going to talk mostly about missed opportunities and the suppression of any opportunities to get ahead. And I'm going to give you these 7 reasons. The first being is you're not going to have any extra time for, let's say, a second job or to start a business outside of your regular job. Life only has so many hours. So if your regular job is taking up 40 or 50 hours a week, if you need extra money, not saying if this is good, bad, or ugly, don't care about the economics, just practical value. If you need extra money, a lot of times you're not going to be able to do that if you've got a habit that continues to interfere with you being able to be regular at your second job. And you sure aren't going to get a business off the ground if you're not willing to pay a heavy time sacrifice. You will begin to delay things. You'll put things behind. You will never get a business off the ground with a creeping and growing addiction. For those of you that think, I only want to focus on one job, my main job, my career job, well, then how are you going to increase your performance in that job? How are you going to gain the skill sets? How are you going to increase knowledge without the investment of time? And if you have a pornographic habit that continues to eat into that time and eat into the energy that you would be learning and growing in and investing in your first job, then it's obviously undercutting your chance to get ahead in your primary job. What about also when you begin to watch pornography, you begin to evaluate women on an aesthetic scale, a created aesthetic scale, one that actually changes over time. But you begin to measure women and you find out that only a really small percentage ever fit the pornographic standard. And so then you begin to measure the rest of them objectively as being subpar. And you actually begin to create a disconnect from women in a way that you would not have done if you were not addicted to pornography. If you do not have women on your team, if you do not have women in your corner, your likelihood of succeeding at anything is cut in literal half. What about also, since most likely your pornographic addiction is kind of bumping into your work schedule, it's kind of catching you before work, or you got to leave a little early, or you come back from lunch a little late, and your boss is beginning to wonder, like, what's up with this guy? Like, what is he hiding? And these encounters with him are kind of odd. Like, Monday and Tuesday is fine, but Wednesday he was acting strange. He doesn't seem like a normal human being. Then how in the world is your boss supposed to trust you? And if a boss cannot trust you, how is he supposed to put more responsibility or more privilege into your hands? Also, with the pornographic addiction, you not only have your personal private time where you were away, you have to increase this private time for your addiction. And a person that is more isolated and has to walk away from natural activities is going to have less connections in life. And trust me, the point will come to where you will put your addictions over some of your social events just because the urge and the drive is so much so that you're just going to forego the relational activities for the pornographic endeavor just for this time. And so with less connections and less depth of personal connections, you also cut off a means of potentially getting ahead. Number 6, one of the things that we see is that when someone is wrapped up in pornography, they don't have a whole lot of energy for life. You see, the energy for life begins to get sapped out of a person. This is known in the world of boxing, that if you wanted to ruin a boxer's chances at a fight, just slip a prostitute in the night before and steal his energy from him. Or maybe it is that you're at work and you're feeling guilty about the things that you are continuing to invest your time in, and that guilt feeling doesn't make you really feel productive, and so you don't really produce. And if you're not putting any energy and any productivity into work, it is financially going to hinder you. Something else, number 7, I would mention is lawsuits. And you're probably thinking, no, not me. I'm not going to have a lawsuit. Hold your horses. If you are engaged in a creeping and growing addiction and you try to get married, you're eventually going to have this clash between pornography and your spouse. And many, many, many times this ends in divorce. And divorce is one of the preeminent ways to go broke, to be poor, etc. Just the opposite is the case if you stay married, if you work on your marriage. It's one of the number one indicators that you will eventually end up with some sort of wealth. But if you just want to throw your wealth out the window, then just hold on to your pornographic addiction and enter into the lawsuit of, or not lawsuit, but to the legal applications of a divorce. And if you continually turn down your conscience and you continue to watch worse and worse type of pornography, you're going to think that the things that you're saying aren't really that offensive, and you're going to be throwing these comments around at work, and eventually you might end up in a sexual harassment case, or you might have some kind of little petty thing thrown at your background that will keep you from good jobs. Don't think these things won't catch you. And I'll just throw in a bonus. Playing and dabbling with pornography because of the quick highs, or they're not even quick highs, but because of the highs that pornography brings, is so in line with drug addiction that it is very common for them to go hand in hand. And if you don't think that having a drug addiction will keep you poor, you're not really paying attention. I would encourage you, if you have a pornographic addiction, please get some help. And the best help you're going to have is at your local church.